This video is on C strings and strings, and this should be a very brief one. Basically, as we may know by now, we usually use strings, and we'll say something like string s is equal to hello, and what we're actually doing is we're creating a character array. Let's call it array of size 5. And basically what we're doing is we're just putting a character in each of the indexed variables for our array. That's essentially what's happening in the background. And this is really the way C strings work. And strings actually work similarly, but strings is actually a class, and it's an object, and it has a string array, a character array in the background, but then it actually encapsulates a lot of other functionalities that we can use for a string. So before I talk about strings, I want to get into character arrays. C strings, which would be a character array. And so if you include C string in your project, then you actually get a lot of the C string functionalities. However, you could also just create a character, array, and you'll also have a pretty much a C string, but you do lose some of the C string functionalities if you don't create if you don't use this include. So basically, what a C string is pretty much a character array that will automatically put the null character at the end of the array. And if you're not familiar with the null character, the null character is actually \0, and that pretty much just lets the memory know that this particular index variable is not pointing anywhere. It doesn't have a memory address. It's just pretty much nothing. All right, so there's 2 ways that we can declare and initialize a C string. The first way is we can just say character, string, and then we can just say it's equal to hello, right, using a string literal. And when we do it this way, I'm sorry, we need to put our brackets. When we do it this way, we are actually creating an array. Even though hello has 5 letters in it, we are actually creating an array of size 6. Because what the C string will do is it basically will create a string that looks like this. Oops. It will put that null character at the end automatically. So that is if we are creating, if we're declaring and initializing it this way. If we decide that we want to declare and initialize it the other way, which would be kind of like what I showed in this example, we would do string H E L L O. All right, and so if we declare it this way, then if I declare it exactly like this, then this will not be considered a C string because I didn't put the null character at the end. So when we are declaring a C string in the second way, we have to include we have to manually add the \0. Otherwise, the what happened here? Otherwise, the compiler uh, the compiler will not do it for you, and then it will not be considered a C string, and it won't work as a C string. All right, so let's talk about how uh, why we use a C string. Why is this different from just a regular array of characters? And the main reason is that null character, right? That null character is what makes the C string have the power that it has. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I think I like strings much better than C strings, but this is the original way things are doing. So I'm just gonna give you the way to do it the old way, and then we'll talk about how to do it the new way. So what's good about C strings is normally when we have an array, we have to keep track of the size, right? If I was to say int array 10, then I would need to have a variable size, and then every time I use this array, say I want to put in some functions, then I have to pass the size along with it so that the function knows how many elements are in this array. What's neat about a C string is that since we have that null character, then we can actually find the size, right? We can actually figure out when we're at the end of the array. For example, if I was to say, let me just create my C string. All right, so if I was to create a C string, and that's basically just saying character, I'll call it str is equal to hello. Then I can just do a for loop. And I can say for int I equals 0, while and then instead of saying why I is less than size, right, which we would do for a normal array, in the C string, we can just say while the character at I is not equal to our null character, right? And that will loop all the way through our C string until it reaches the null character, which is defined to be the end of our C string. So I can say something like this, cout array I and basically what this would do, it would print out hello like this. So that is one special thing about character arrays. I no longer have to keep track of size. However, if I wanted to know the size of this array, I can also do that, right? Because I can have a function that can count how many letters are in a word and stop when it reaches a null character. And so C string actually has, if we include C string, right, if we use this include inside of our file, then we also get a library of different functions. And so one of those functions is the string length. So we could do something like this: int size is equal to string len, and then we can pass in our string array. And now that will give us the number 5, since hello has 5 letters in it. So that's one way we can actually get the size of an array, where if we were to do an integer array or double array or any other kind of array, we actually don't have the ability to do that. So that's one special thing about using a C string. There's also a ton of other libraries that you can use. They have some substrings. And that's basically if I have the word hello, I can get the word he out of it because that would be a substring. Um, there's also string compare. And string compare will basically, um, tell you if a string is larger or equal or less than another string. So it just compares two strings. And there's a bunch. I'm not gonna go through all of them because that's that's what your book is for. But I will do one more though, and one is going to be your A to I function, and this is a pretty cool function. So if I had a string, let's say I have a string, a C string. So let's say I have a C string char, and I want to call it num for number, and I make it equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's say I had another character string called num2, and I set that equal to 5. Oops. 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, if I have these two strings, and I use a function called string cat, which means concatenate, string cat. Right, this is to concatenate two functions. Excuse me, two C strings. If I was to do that, and this is a really bad example because I'm trying to show the addition, right? But unfortunately, C string doesn't have a plus, right? But in string, string concat is plus, right? So let's say these were strings and I did something like num plus num2, right? Even though these are two numbers, we would hope that we would get something like, what is the math in that? Right? We would hope that we can get a number. We would want to get 6,912, right? Because that's what 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 5, 6, 7, 8 is equal to. But unfortunately, we wouldn't. We wouldn't get this. We would actually get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's not what we would want. Well, maybe sometimes we will, but if we were trying to get a total of two numbers that were set to strings, we wouldn't be able to do this. So if we use A2I, what A2I will do is it will convert a string to its integer value. Right, so now I could do something like this. Since I have my num and num2, I can say int num3 is equal to A2I num plus A2I num2. And that would give me 6,912 by doing that. All right, and so the secret word is couch. And now let's talk about strings. And we've been using strings a lot, so there's not a whole lot more information I'm going to be able to give to you. But basically, a string is an object, and it has a character array inside that object. But the beauty about using objects is that we don't need to know what's going on in the background. So the way a string works is that it works very similar to the way I showed you inside a C string, except for you don't have to worry about null characters or do anything about it. This class does everything for you, and also a lot of these built-in functions, these strings actually have those functions available for you as well. For instance, if I want to concatenate, then if I had a string, let's just say num1 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have string num2 is equal to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't need another function to be able to concatenate those, right? With just like I showed you before, with C string, I would have to say string cat num1 num2, and that's the way I can combine those two strings. But with a string, it overloads the addition operator, the plus operator, and it overloads that to make it mean the same thing as what string cat means. So I can say, string num3 is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4. I can make it equal to num1 plus num2, right? And then this would give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, and then there's other functions that the string has. If we wanted to convert a string to a number, instead of using A to I, we basically use S to I, right? So we could do something like this: int num4 is equal to STOI num1 plus STOI num2, and now that will make num4 equal to the 6,912. A couple other things that we can do with a string is we have the getLine function. So string comes with a getLine function where the getLine function will take in a iStream object. So let's say our CN, and then let's say we had a string called next. And basically what this function will do is, if I had a string here called my name is Dave, with this function, if I was to use just regular, so let's say, let me set a string there. So let's say string name is equal to my name is Dave. And if I wanted to actually, if I wanted to use CN, say, well, let me reverse a little bit. And I'm sorry, this, let's go ahead and reverse that. So let's say that I'm using the console, and so I want to say, I have a string called next, string next, and then I want to say CN next, right? And if I was in my console and I get to this point where it's time to CN, and I type in my name is Dave, if I go to C out next, we would think that it would say my name is Dave because that's one string, but CN sees that as 4 strings. So next will actually have the value of just my. But if we use get line, and we pass in our CN and we pass in next, then when we get to our console and I type in my name is Dave, then when I see out next, it will actually see out my name is Dave. All right, and so there's also a lot of other functions that you can use with the string class, and also the C string class. But I would definitely leave that for you to read in the book. All right, and I hope this lesson made sense for you. And have a great one. Thank you for watching.